Good afternoon. My name is Blanca Vasquez, and along with my team members Daisy, Evelyn, Jasmine, and Agustin, I'll be discussing the current minimum wage and its unfairness. 50 million of Americans currently live below the poverty line. The current minimum wage makes it almost impossible for a worker who only wins minimum wage to be able to cover their needs and sustain their family. We believe that the minimum wage should be increased to $10.10 in order for workers to get their fair pay and be able to cover their basic needs. There are a few points that we believe are extremely important to be addressed. With minimum wage at $8, the number of Americans living under the poverty line is drastically rising. The government is not helping the families living under the poverty line to cover their needs as they should. We propose the minimum wage to be raised to $10.10 per hour.
One of the biggest problems we find with the current minimum wage of $8 is that it's simply not enough to live off of. It is getting increasingly difficult for people to live off of it. In our current economic norm of inflation, the minimum wage is simply not enough to sustain oneself or family. It is getting increasingly difficult for people to make ends meet. Expenses such as gas, food, and even electricity are becoming out of the question. As a direct result of the minimum wage, many individuals find themselves at or even below the poverty line. For the last handful of years, the poverty rate has not changed. In fact, according to an article in the Huffington Post newspaper by business editor Maxwell Strachan, published on November 17th of 2013, the U.S. poverty rate was essentially unchanged at 15% in 2012, as roughly 46.5 million people were stuck living at or below the poverty line. This marks the second straight year that both the poverty rate and number of people living at or below the poverty line have remained unchanged at their current levels. This means that people work hard just to stay less fortunate. They need more help to find adequate means of living and sufficient compensation for the amount of work that they do. With all the information brought forth to the table in regards to our lack of sustainability in regards to minimum wage and poverty, I'm sure you, the general public, would like to know who is to blame for our current situation.
The federal government is to blame for the current minimum wage issue. The Democrat and Republican parties' inability to compromise leads to no change, which means families continue to struggle. In a Cato Institute article by Michael D. Tanner posted on the website last updated on January 1st, 2014, it clearly stated that the ones to blame for a postponement of an increase on minimum wage is in fact Democrats. Not only does this article emphasize the fact that many Democrats disagree with the idea that minimum wage should increase, but they also believe that funds for unemployment should be reduced, if not cut off. President Obama is also to blame because he only speaks upon the issue without actually coming up with a solution that fits both parties, therefore showing whom is to blame for the unchanged future. When two political parties can't find a compromise to an issue, the issue continues to go on and there never seems to be an agreement. Democrats argue increasing the minimum wage to $10.10 per hour would affect many business owners as well as increasing our in-depth debt. However, on the other hand, Republicans support the idea that increasing minimum wage will not only help out the poor reach the line of lower middle class, but also help our economy become stable. All that is being thrown is possibilities, with both parties arguing what ifs instead of coming up with a suitable compromise.
The government has the power to help millions of families living at or below the poverty line. By increasing the minimum wage to $10.10 an hour, the government would be exercising such power and helping these millions of families. By increasing the minimum wage, the government is allowing families to live more comfortably. According to a Washington Post article by Mike Conkskal, a finance blogger and fellow with the Roosevelt Institute, he states, written on January 4th, he states, using this as an estimate, raising the minimum wage to $10.10 an hour, as many Democrats are proposing in 2014, would boost the incomes to of those at the 10th percentile by $1,700. That's a significant increase in quality of life for those worst off. That doesn't require the government to tax or spend a single additional dollar. He adds, if you look at this economist James Tobin in 1996, for instance, he argues that the minimum wage always had to be recognized as having good income consequences. I thought in this institute those advantages outweighed the small loss of jobs. Since then, there's been substantially more jobs done, arguing that the more jobs existent and new ones that come up, that acknowledges are better, especially when it comes to observing incomes in the percent and reducing extreme poverty. For the past years, individuals have been afraid of losing jobs, but with an increase in minimum wage, there will be a decrease of poverty, but not their jobs.
And to conclude our presentation, California should pay their workers worth their labor and also raise the minimum wage to $10.10, no more $8 per hour. The government and also the President Barack Obama should see the needs of their workers and also seek ways to help them sustain their families. They should take into consideration that the current minimum wage is not enough and is forcing many Americans in the United States to live under the poverty line. The number of Americans living under the poverty line should be decreasing. Instead of that number hiring or increasing, our minimum wage should rise and also help us rise above the poverty line. Thank you for watching.